What's going on, boxing fans? I'm back here with another video here set for you guys. Gonna be talking about the top rank boxing card that happened here tonight that was headlined by Xander Zayas versus Jorge Garcia. Shout out to El Emiliano Fernando Vargas, who got a 42-second round KO early on that main card and really took care of business and is still living in the pride of the Vargas name and is on his way. He's at 140. There's a lot of competition there. He's a young dude. Obviously, he's going to be getting out of the 140-pound division soon enough and eventually going to 147, 154, and on and on. But as of right now, as a 140-pounder, he's definitely looking forward to the future for himself with a lot more different competition. But the first fight that I want to be able to talk about and giving a recap and reaction to the rest of the two cards, that being the co-main and main event, Bruce Shushu Carrington in the co-main event spot versus, I believe, Mateus Haika, African fighter, undefeated for a belt at 126 pounds. I believe the featherweight bout division between these two guys. And it was just clear from the onset the speed advantage, the technical advantage, the skill advantage was all in favor of Bruce Carrington. Carrington really did outwork Haika, countered him effectively with the straight rights to the body, to the head. Haika was tough, though. I got to give him some credit for that. Haika was a tough dude in there. He threw jabs, didn't really land a lot. You know, sometimes he would land a nice hook to the body or to the head, right hand to the top, straight in. Haika, undefeated guy, man. Never lost before in his career. And, yeah, no name, though. In terms of competition, obviously not up to the level of Bruce Carrington. This is just another stat padding type of fight, I believe, for Bruce Carrington. A lot of people can be able to say maybe this is a step up for his career. He's fighting an undefeated fighter. This is normal, typical prospect, padding your record to be able to get yourself into a better fight in the future. Also certifying Bruce Carrington as a champion. So now he can be able to call out other champions in his division. You got Espinoza, who I believe is also in that division. That's with top rank as well. That would be an absolute banger matchup between these two, especially both of these guys being very young in their career and in their prime as well. It could go either way. I really don't know who I would honestly lean towards too. But in this fight, just in general, man, to give an honest review and recap of it, Carrington just took care of business. He did what he needed to be able to do to get the victory over Haika. Haika had really nothing to be able to offer to Bruce Carrington. Carrington just took care of business, you know, took out the trash, did what he needed to be able to do. I'm just looking forward for better matchups for Carrington. Took him a whole 12 rounds. I wanted him to be able to get a finish, especially the last time out in his last bout that he had in, that being Carrington. He got a knockout, I believe, in like the third round off a counter right hand. I wanted to see him to get another knockout, but there's a dude in here that, again, undefeated record, never lost beforehand, can be able to take a punch. Carrington, with his speed and accuracy, he lands a pretty good punch. But Haika, man, Haika was in there, and he he was effective. I mean, not really. He wasn't effective. Haika was in there to maybe potentially do something to Carrington that we obviously all knew and thought and believed that was not going to happen. And yeah, yeah. With Carrington, man, I need to see more out of him, especially against better competition. And so the main event, we got Xander Zayas versus Jorge Garcia. Typical Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry going down here. 22-year-old Xander Zayas. That's absolutely insane to be able to say that he's actually fighting for a championship here tonight at 154-pound division, that being the junior middleweight division. And Xander Zayas, man, against a guy that was 8-0 in his last few fights. I believe he had like 8 KOs in that fight, or like 4 KOs in half of the fights that he's been on that winning streak. And Xander Zayas, knowing him as the fighter that he is, technically, defensively aware, just ticking all the boxes that you can be able to have as a boxer. He is a boxer counterpuncher. And he completely outed and made George Garcia look like a fool in this fight. Because obviously, on paper, that's essentially what it was going to be. Xander Zayas is honestly one of the best prospects, I think, as of right now, the face of Puerto Rican boxing as of right now. There's other names like Sabril Matias, but how far is he going to be able to do in terms of fanfare and entertainment? Yes, he's in a lot of entertaining fights because of his fighting style, but how much is that going to be able to wear forward? Edgar Berlanga, right? He can be able to talk trash, but that's about it. So in terms of being the best type of boxer coming out of Puerto Rico and being the face of Puerto Rico, if you don't want to claim yourself as Jake Paul being the face of Puerto Rico as of right now, Xander Zayas is, I think, a boxer that can be in the upper echelon in terms of names, obviously because of him and his background also coming from Puerto Rico as well, having that big fan base in New York, having the big fan base in Puerto Rico as well. He can be able to sell tickets and can be a bigger name, but I don't know if he's going to be the cream of the crop. I said he could be in the upper echelon. I do believe that he can be in the upper echelon, but I don't know if he's going to be able to beat the names in this division, such as like a Bakram Murtazayev. Bakram absolutely like washed Tim Tszyu. I think Xander Zayas can be able to beat Tim Tszyu, but I don't think he's going to knock Tim Tszyu out. Sebastian Fundora, as a matchup, I think it's tough for Xander Zayas. Another name that's in the 145-pound division, Virgil Ortiz, made his debut recently against Israel Madrimov. Madrimov is another name. Sergey Bochuk is another name. It seems that Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be moving up to 154. So there's a lot of names. There is a lot of names, and there's a lot of great matchups, especially now as Xander Zayas, as a champion, 22 years old, against George Garcia. I mean, in this performance, there's not much for me to be able to tell you. Xander Zayas completely outboxed, outfoxed, outclassed George Garcia. George Garcia looks like he's never trained a day in his life, right? He looked like he was just winging punches, off balance, squared up, feet all over the place. Again, the dude looked like he's never trained boxing a day in his life. And Xander Zayas made him look like that. Look like a goddamn fool out there. Xander Zayas was landing great shots with his jab, was doing good work to the body, good work with the hooks upstairs and the right hands as well whenever George Garcia could be able to be off balance and in a position that was in a bad spot for him. He took advantage of George Garcia. The only issue about Xander Zayas and his career and his future is that he has the technical ability. Defensively, he is aware and responsible. He has a great jab, right? He has a really good jab. Technically, in terms of his skill, again, he outskilled Garcia hands down. But in terms of other fighters that's going to be in his division, I don't know. I want to see him in a bigger step up type of matchup, right? I want to see him in a level up type of fight to really test to see what we can get out of Xander Zayas. The only thing that's really withdrawing back about Xander Zayas as of right now in terms of his career or in the future to be able to pursue farther in his career is his power. Now, there was times that he's hurt Garcia, kind of wobbled Garcia, absolutely made Garcia look like a fool, but that was just in terms of technique and skill, but not in terms of power. He has power to be able to not have you just run in and walk him down, but he doesn't have power to be able to put you out completely and get you out of there. Maybe that's because he's just 22 years old. He hasn't gotten to his grown man strength yet. He hasn't really fully formed into his body. He's not really yet into his prime. He's still very green in terms of things that he needs to be able to work on in terms of his power. I'm not saying he doesn't hit hard at all, but he's not a heavy hitter nonetheless. he has a decent chin. There were some shots that Jorge Garcia landed on him tonight that were winging shots that he moved along with, or just landed clean, and he took them well. But again, in terms of the other names in this division, Sebastian Fundora, Bakram Murtalazayev, you got Jaron Ennis now. Virgil Ortiz is in there, where they should have been matched up beforehand, and it kind of fell through between those two. Sergey Boachuk and Idril Majimov. If I'm Xander Zayas and I'm a champion as of right now, and I want to be able to unify the division, but you have to be able to go across the street for Bakram and Fundora. Ennis and Virgil Ortiz are more on the zone with Riyadh season, but it's easy to be able to cross over with them, being with Top Rank. Madrimov and Bohachuk as well. They're also with the zone and Ring Magazine and Riyadh season and Turkey Al Adik. So it's going to be a little bit easier to get those type of matchups. If I'm Xander Zayas and I want to be able to rectify my career, defend my belt, and get a bigger name to be able to pursue through in my career, I would get a matchup like an Israel Madrimov. Madrimov is on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Terrence Crawford, lost to Virgil Ortiz. Very competitive fights between those two guys. I think for Madrimov, it's a step down. Not a huge step down from Virgil Ortiz to Xander Zayas, but in terms of power and worrying about the ability of what's coming back towards you, yes, I would say that it is a step down compared to Xander Zayas, even though I think Xander Zayas is a better overall boxer compared to Virgil Ortiz. It's something like that. A Madrimov, a Bohachuk. And even then, those are very big step-ups, I think, for Xander Zayas in his career as of right now that requires some type of generated power to be able to keep those guys honest. I wouldn't, really jump into the deep end and get a guy like Fundora who's really regained his confidence and knows what type of fighter that he is as of right now. Or Bakram, because Bakram absolutely annihilated Tim Tszyu. While Fundora beat him and he wore him down and eventually got him out of there, Bakram completely annihilated Tim Tszyu in there. And Tim Tszyu is not the type of boxer or has defensive awareness or responsibility as Xander Zayas. But eventually, if Bakram hits you with something, you're probably going to go down. So there's a lot to be able to talk about, especially in the future for these guys. The future is for them to be able to see for what they want to be able to be. But obviously, they're still prospects. Very green. They got some championships on their resume. They're trying to be able to big themselves as bigger brands and competitors and promote their names and really get themselves as stars in their certified divisions or just in their future of their careers as well in boxing. But it's great to be able to see that from them. And overall, I thought it was a great performance out of Bruce Shushu, Carrington, and Xander Zayas, really shining bright in where they needed to be able to shine bright for themselves. For Top Rank, Bob Arum, of course, and themselves as well. Yeah. Also, Clarissa Shields fought tonight, but nobody gave a fuck about that fight because it was an absolute snooze fest. So there's that. Anyways, like this video. If you obviously like this video, comment your opinions on what you thought about Xander Zayas and Bruce Carrington and what you want to be able to see from them in their future in terms of their boxing careers and the next fights that are later down the line for themselves. Subscribe as well. Subscribe. I mean, if you're here for a reason. You obviously like this type of content. You like what I'm saying. You like what I'm doing. And I like what you're doing as well. Thank you guys again for watching again, and peace.